I saw you standing there the first time that I laid my eyes on you. I couldn't get you out of all the thoughts I had. And now the end is near, and I just couldn't seem to get it right. I guess it's time to go. Yeah. First chance.
Welcome back to another episode of the Coast Boys Podcast. Joined by my buddy Gabe. Gabe, how are you?
I'm doing good, man.
Dude,
Can't complain.
Hell yeah, bro. We're in a new setup, man. This has been a process to get this done. You know, we're about a month in trying to get this whole studio complete. We're basically done now, and it's just so cool to be able to sit down and actually kind of see everything completed and just be able to record our first episode from here, man.
Dude,
how you
I
feeling?
know. It's been insane. Like when we first talked about the idea of doing a podcast, this is something that I thought about. Like I envisioned something like this because I had seen other podcasts. I've seen like Flagrant 2 with Andrew Schultz, and it's like kind of like a laid back, chill podcast. And it's much more relaxing. And when we first started, when we were using that table, and it was just kind of like whatever we could grab our hands on. And I liked it. It was good. It worked, but it wasn't, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I could just kind of relax and talk about whatever. And so now that in this setting, I just feel more laid back. I feel more relaxed. It's like I just feel like I can kind of just talk and just really enjoy myself here. So it's been so sick getting this together, man.
Yeah, man. It's been really fun. It's actually been really hard.
Yeah.
It's been really hard because originally we had 2 weeks left in August, and we were like, we need to get this by the end of the month. Kind of we talked about this before, but like putting this unnecessary kind of time crunch on ourselves. Like we can literally do whatever we want. We can record out of my room if we want. Like we can record out of a car if we wanted to, but
I think that we had a time crunch because we knew I was starting my teaching again, and then you were starting school again. So we're like, okay, we only have a few more weeks before we're going to become busy. So we were trying to get stuff done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So that became super hard to do.
Yeah, and honestly, man, shout out to Facebook Marketplace, the swap shop, everything, dude. Like we're very frugal in this, like free coffee table, free little mesitas, free curtains, dude. Like,
dude, I wouldn't even call it frugal though. I mean, we're just being resourceful, to be honest. And I think it just shows like if you want to do anything or if you need anything, like you just kind of got to keep your eye out for it. Like there's a lot of people giving away free stuff, cheap stuff because they're moving away or for whatever reason they just they need the space or something. And like that's something my mom's always told me, and she's always shown me because she was always big on going to yard sales and stuff. And always as a little kid I wanted to go with her because I was like, dude, hell yeah, I'm gonna go to this yard sale, I'm gonna get a good deal on a toy, video game, whatever. And she'd always tell me like, dude, you don't need to buy stuff for the full price, like you can always go somewhere else and get it cheaper. And so like that's always been instilled in me growing up. And so we were putting this together, we're like, yeah, like why would we go pay $500 on 2 new chairs or on just 1 new chair when we can go find it somewhere else for cheaper and you know,
free.
Yeah, exactly.
For free, like we did, dude. Like this has been sick, man. And honestly, like I think it's cool now, like to just kind of have your own place, your own setup to kind of just go and dedicate it for that, you know? Because before we were, like we said, we were recording out of my room and we had to like get there an hour early and set up and
sometimes more early.
Yeah, man. And it was just kind of like, maybe it shouldn't be because we were like just kind of getting it done and hustling, you know, but it was kind of embarrassing, you know, like having to bring people into my room.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it. It was funny. Yeah, I'd always, guests would come up to me or talk to me like, oh yeah, so where do you guys record from? And I'm like, oh, it's the studio.
Bro.
Like, oh, but like, where's it at? And I'm just like, you'll find out when you come in and record.
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't even know why I was embarrassed or why I am embarrassed to kind of say it, but it's not a big deal, you know, like I said, we just hustling, getting it out of the way, like as long as we're doing it, you know. But it's definitely cool to just have this set up, man. Shout out to Chaba, thank you so much. Shout out to our parents, man. Like they were so supportive in this whole process and kind of like helping us scour the marketplace while we were either busy with school or busy with something, you know, going on and just helping us out throughout this whole process. They've been very supportive on both sides.
Dude, and what I'll say about you too is like you've been really kicking ass on this because I was getting super busy with school and everything coming and starting back up, and there was times where you know, we had a good deal on something and we need to go pick it up, and I was not available, and I just couldn't. I'm in meetings till 5 o'clock or whatever it may be, and you stepped up and you know, next day you're like, oh, I got it, I picked it up. I'm like, damn, that's sick. Like, okay, like I just know I can count on you and rely on you to get the stuff ready. Like, it's sick.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. But it's this whole process, man. It's been sick to get this set up and even just kind of like that, kind of like piggybacking off of that, like even not just the whole studio setup, but like this whole podcasting, like it's it's been kind of difficult. Like you just mentioned, like you were busy, or sometimes I'm busy and I can't do something like that. Kind of having to bounce ideas back and forth before you can, or actually get someone's permission or kind of agree as like a partnership before you kind of make a decision.
There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that people don't
difficult.
see.
Yeah, man, it gets difficult, and it's like one of those things. Like if you were to be doing this by yourself, you wouldn't have to ask me. You know, like if and vice versa. Like I wouldn't have to ask you. So it's kind of cool to be able, because I've seen like growth in myself. Like I become more patient or understanding as well. You know, like because I've never had to do something like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's sick, and I like it. You know, I don't say that as in a negative way. Like I think it's really cool. Like, and it's like one of the many things that I've gotten out of this whole process. I'm just ask you that. Like, what have you gotten out of this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that as well. I think the biggest takeaway for me has just been like learning from other people's experiences and then relating it to what I've done, because everyone's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
And everyone's story is different. And so when you hear other people tell their story, it kind of like, you think about your life, your story, if you can relate to it in any way, and you kind of think of, oh wow, they made these choices. Like I wonder what my life would be different, or how the outcome would have changed if I would have, you know, maybe found or went through a similar path like that this person's telling me about. And so it's just so sick hearing all these people, what these people are talking about. But yeah, that's probably been for me. What about you?
Yeah, man. Or kind of just like going off that point, like that was one of our goals from the beginning, is like have people on, hear their stories, be able to share their experiences, good experiences or bad experiences, so we can learn, and kind of like be able to share that insight, share that information with other people, and also like learn from that. And that's one of the biggest things that I've gotten out of it, is being able to learn. You know, like kind of hearing, like you said, hearing someone's story, and like you said, kind of seeing the choices that they made. But I like to kind of put myself in their situation as well. Like, would I have made the same decision?
Yeah.
Would I have made the same choices? Would I have made different choices? Like maybe if I'm ever faced with the same experiences, like maybe I'll kind of take the path they did. You know, maybe 2 years ago I would have taken a different path. So it's very interesting. It's kind of like a cool like little exercise to do, like when I'm listening back to the episode, or like I'm editing it or something, like to kind of see, like, man, I didn't even catch that in the episode, and now I'm like kind of going deeper into it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's really cool. Like you said, like just to hear the experiences, and that's something that's like, again, we set out to have that goal, and it's something that 11 episodes in, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of doing. You know, like having people on, man.
Yeah.
It's been sick, dude. Like,
it has.
That's another thing too. Like just this whole experience, like I've gotten so much out of it, man. I think it's just so cool to be able to have people come on to our show and be like, oh, like you guys mentioned this in a podcast, or I think it was this episode when you guys were talking about this and this. I'm like, dude, that's such a good compliment. Like just to have someone that we wanted on here. You know what I'm saying? They're not begging us to come on this.
Yeah.
Like someone that we kind of like asked, like pitched them the idea. They were down to share their episode, like their experiences, and to come on and be like, yeah, you guys were talking about this and this. Is like, dude, you don't even have to listen. You know what I'm saying? But they do. They take the time out of their day to listen.
That was my biggest concern going into it, because, I mean, I'll be honest, like when we pitched the idea on the beach and we were just kind of chilling and like, oh, let's do a podcast. Like I definitely saw it more as a hobby to start off. Like I was like, oh, it's something fun we can do. Like we like hanging out and like it'd be a cool experience, right? And I think things have gotten more serious since then, because we're like, we can see the potential. We can see like what we can give to the community and give to other people, share their stories and stuff like that. People can learn from it just like we can. And so now when we have people come up to us or DM us or whatever, be like, hey, dude, like I listened to this episode, like this is sick, like when can I come on? It's just like, it's such a good...
That right there, you just said, like, when can I come on, or when am I going to be a guest?
And I was like, let me check my schedule. I'll check my schedule.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, whenever you want, bro, like the more the merrier, man. Like that's another thing that we talked about at the beginning, like even just pitching the idea to people, like it was almost embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like,
off for sure.
like even, okay, like, a little backstory, like even when we went to Mr. Anderson's house and we were setting up and like, oh, you guys have a podcast? Oh, what's it about? Oh, we're like, what? I'm just like, Gabe, do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Or like, we explained this so many times, like, but at the same time, like I told you this after, I kind of explained it in a way that I was almost embarrassed instead of like being so proud of what we're doing, you know, like I didn't really, I don't know why, man. I just kind of felt maybe she would like laugh at the idea or kind of like, oh, that's weird. But like,
that's how I felt.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why I would or we would feel that, you know?
Especially coming from my friends, like I always felt like, dang, like I'm like, hey, I'm starting a podcast. And I felt like they were just like judging me immediately. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
isn't it weird
starting
how
a
that works?
podcast? Yeah. But now I look back and I have other friends who have promoted each other before. I've promoted like their brands or whatever, like whether they're starting a clothing brand or music or whatever. Like, I'm just like, before I wouldn't like think twice about it. I'd just be like, oh, cool, whatever. But I wouldn't really like take the time to kind of go look at it or listen or whatever. And now since we've started this and like we kind of rely on other people like kind of spreading and promoting and whatnot, it's just like, wow, like I had no idea like how important it is to create a following, to have people who are going to constantly watch or listen to the podcast, and then who enjoy it, and then enjoy it enough to go and either write a review about it, share it to their social media, tell their friends, because that's how you connect to more people. And so it's been super interesting seeing the friends message me and tell me, dude, this is sick. Like, and then they post it on their social media. It's like, it's such a good feeling. Like, dude, man. Like we killed it. We did such a good job that someone else was like, I'm going to go promote this, Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's been sick.
Yeah. And like you said, like you've had friends that you see on social media kind of start brands or start little, like I have a friend, shout out to Wichi. This guy he just graduated and he started like a fitness, like he's a personal trainer now. And he's sick. Like just during the whole COVID kind of like redid his little garage into like a gym, and it's sick just to see him take off, like, and like you said, you have people on there that, shout out to Blake as well, man, Eats Clothing, like people that are grinding and doing their thing, and you don't really, when you're kind of like on the outside looking in, you don't really understand what they're going through, you know what I'm saying? And we're not even selling a product. You know what I'm saying? We're not selling a service or anything. We're just kind of like doing this, and it doesn't cost anything.
You guys just have to listen. That's it.
And it's like, but at the same time, you kind of like you said, you have to gain a following or kind of gain some type of momentum, and then that way, like we can relate, and it's like that's when your kind of perspective changes about everything, and you're like, oh, like they just dropped a t-shirt here, let me share it. Or like they just like wanted us to follow the account. Yeah, I'm gonna follow it.
I don't think twice about those things
man,
anymore.
And it's like you don't realize that until you're kind of in that position where it's like, oh, dude, this could help out a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You just sharing your friend's clothing line. Yeah, I don't know if you want to shout her out.
Shout out Lovely Bay, shout out Talia. I think Myra's in there also, and a few other people. I'm not sure.
Yeah, dude, shout out to them. And you just like you just posted on your story, like just kind of piggybacking on your point.
Seconds. Yeah, I know. It's women's clothing. I don't wear any of that stuff, but it's like, who cares? Like, it's gonna take me 2 seconds to promote this, and if one of my friends who's a girl or whatever and wants to buy a clothing off them, buys it, that's a sale. You know?
That's another thing. Like just you being able to be that supportive friend, you kind of like share it on your story, you share it or wherever you shout them out, and now she's being able to tap into your followers.
Exactly.
But just because you're a supportive friend, you know what I'm saying? Like, and on that, like, dude, shout out to Andy Alvarado, man. Shout out to Trevin Estrellado. Shout out to my parents, dude. Like every time we post something, I was sharing it on Facebook.
I see that. That's
dude, it's sick, like, and they don't even understand what we're doing. Like,
my mom doesn't understand anything.
Dude, yeah. I always see she likes our stuff too. Like, that's sick, bro.
I saw she was like, what? Sometimes I leave the house and I don't tell anything because we're out recording or whatever, and I come back, she's like, oh, I saw you on Facebook. I know what you were doing.
That's so funny, bro. Okay. They're like, dude, stop stalking me.
Literally.
No, but literally, shout out to them, man. Like they're such a big help, and like it's just so cool. Like, I don't know if we mentioned this, but like the review on the podcast, on the Apple podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like just to see people, like we're saying, we're tapping into someone else's followers, like just like Andy, like there was a review on there on the Apple podcast, like, oh, I can relate so much, and I was referred to it by Andy, and I'm like, dude, he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just so cool to have a supportive friend group like that, man. Shout out to Alan. Like, I can't just shout everyone out, Chava, like, but like, dude, there's a lot of friends, Big D, there's a lot of friends, like, I'm not gonna shout everyone out, just keep going.
Start making a list.
Nah, but all our guests as well, man, like, there's so many people to shout out, be thankful for, man, like when let's agree to come on here and do this, but my point is that
shout out Javier.
I don't even know what I was saying. I guess I'm just saying, like, it's such a big help to us. You know what I'm saying? To like be able to have that kind of friend group or that support system that can like refer us to other people, because that's building momentum for us. You know what I'm saying? That just helps us out in the long run. The more people that know about us, the better.
And I think such a good feeling that I've gotten from starting this podcast is when those friends, whether they've been on the podcast or not, or they just listen to it, and they come up to me or they DM me and they're like saying, dude, like I listened to episode 2, like when you guys talk, like probably an hour in, like you guys talk about blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, dude, like they're listening. Like,
yeah, man.
Like it's insane.
Like, well, you actually listen
it's so, they're like, it's so relatable. It's so blah, blah, blah. Like I went through something just like it. And I'm just like, wow, like that's insane. Like, and that just shows you like there's people just, well, not even within the state, across state borders or even across nationally, people go through these same experiences, and it's just nice to be able to bring people on and hear their stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so cool to kind of get a lot of knowledge out of like people's experiences. Like I mentioned earlier, like you never know if you're going to be faced with the same challenges, and it's like the only thing we can do is kind of get on here and kind of like talk about what we know And then what we don't know, we can have people on here and that kind of share those experiences, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like killing two birds with one stone. Like we can get something out of it and our listeners can get something out of it.
Exactly.
You know? But this whole thing has been sick, man. Like I'm really excited to be in this. Our lineup coming up next, man, like is freaking sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, again, or shout out to Lloyd. We were gonna shout him out, dude. Like, it's just like you just mentioned. Okay, like I'm going back, but like just kind of piggybacking off what you said. Like how you have friends that are like, I listened to this and this and this, and it was so cool. Like the whole when we shot with Lloyd, bro, it was supposed to be like an hour, 2 hours, and we ended up hanging out for like 5 hours,
5-6 hours.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was somebody that we pitched the idea to before he had left to go fishing in Alaska, and it was like when we first started everything. It was before we even had an episode out, and that was kind of like one of the times where we were just like kind of embarrassed to pitch the idea. Not embarrassed, but like kind of you don't really have anything to back your.
Because we didn't really know what it could be or what it was gonna become.
So we're just like pitching them this idea, and he comes back from Alaska, and he was just like, dude, I listened to Mr. Anderson's episode. I listened to this episode. Like, I want to be on. And they're like, dude, hell yeah, man. Like,
dude,
say less. We'll just pick a day. And we ended up doing the episode, hanging out, bro, catching up. Like, we hadn't seen him in months or even years.
It's been a long
time. And then after we went on a run with him.
I rolled my ankle.
Dude, yeah, he got Bambi legs. But, dude, just like that, man. Just to get something that, like, that day was so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. And it was just because he listened to an episode and he wanted to come on. Like, that's so sick to me.
Yeah, and that's another thing I've gotten out of this podcast is the people that we do bring on. I just feel like we're creating those relationships, or we're strengthening those relationships. So like, I ever feel like a moment like, oh, this person talked about working in XYZ or whatever. Like, oh, dude, now I know somebody who's trying to work in that field. Like, oh, let me plug you up. I know this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so cool of having that confidence and feeling that way where I'm just like, dude, like I'm not embarrassed. No tengo vergüenza. Like I can just go and tell them like straight up, like, oh, hey, like I have a friend who's trying to get into what you're doing. Like, help him out. Can you? And then I'm sure I have that relationship with a person where they'd be like, yeah, of course. Like, give my number and I'll talk to them.
Yeah, man. I think that's so cool to be able to be a resource to someone. And that was something that I remember, bro. I was driving to Ukiah one time with my mom, and she had like asked me like what I wanted to do, and I really didn't have an answer. I was like, well, to be honest,
with the podcast? Or
no, like this was years ago, bro.
Oh,
this was a few years back. Like this wasn't even an idea, but just kind of like the idea of helping someone. I feel like I had it for some reason. I feel like I had to like make something of myself in life before I could help someone. You know, and I don't think that's the right approach to it. I still don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I remember I think my answer was like, I just want to be able to like be an influencer, be a resource to people. You know, and like I'll give you an example. Like literally the other day, I'm not gonna say his name, but there was this kid that like hit me up and was like asking me like how to like email coaches and how to do this and kind of like go about it to like get to that D2 level, you know?
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And he was like, yeah, well, someone so-and-so like told me to reach out. And I was like, dude, I'm more than happy to help you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give you the template that I use that got me there, you know, like I'll kind of like help you write your email. I'll help you with your film, whatever you need. Like if you have any questions, like, dude, I'm more than happy. Like if you need someone else's opinion, like I'll refer you to someone else. But I just thought it was so cool that this person that we mutually respect, kind of referred him to me. You know what I'm saying? And like you said earlier, like to be able to do that to someone else, like that's just as good. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But because you know those people can help that person.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like in this whole process, like that's been one of our goals, is to be a resource, to be an outlet, to be a platform of information, something that people can come on and share, and hopefully that knowledge grows and maybe their following will grow, who knows. But to be able to connect people with each other is like an awesome thing that we didn't even expect to kind of get out of it, that we've gotten out of it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's been huge.
So transitioning to what we got going on now, like what is it that you got going on?
It's work, man. It's been so tough. Like, I know everyone was saying like how it's going to be crazy teaching during a pandemic, and literally it has been insane. I picked a hell of a 2 years to start my teaching. Yeah. And it's like, it's crazy because people always say like, oh, you're going to hate want to be a teacher, you don't get paid enough, and then you get overworked and you work long hours. And I mean, a lot of that stuff is true, but I still enjoy it. And it's weird because even growing up, like I was in high school and I had this idea of wanting to become a teacher. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I always got talked out of it. And I don't know if it's because, like, I know you were saying earlier, like just helping somebody else, like being that resource for somebody. And I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to be able to give back. I just didn't know really how to do it. And then doing this job now, it's literally been everything I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like stuck with the position where like, okay, well, do I go and go and do my master's and I end up picking a different field, or do I go do my teaching credential and maybe I continue doing this? And, you know, I'm still not sure yet, but teaching during this pandemic has been insane. You know, Zooming all the time, Google Meets. Like I have to talk to a second grader and try to coach him on how to use a computer because he's only used it a few times. Like he just knows how to play Xbox, and it's insane. I spend half an hour just getting the kid to get onto the actual website, so it's tough. But there's been a lot of high moments where I have a girl, one of my students who's learning guitar, and I've been practicing piano, and so like today we were just like jamming out. It was so sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Nice.
so she's like showing me, she's barely learning, but she's like playing a few chords and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, sick. And so now that reminds me of you, because I know you were playing piano too, or guitar too.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna plug her up with you. But it's cool
That's
because
so funny.
yeah, and I was playing piano, and so we would take turns, and then I was like, oh, we should learn the same song, and then we could kind of play it together.
Yeah.
And so she's super excited, and that was just one more way to get her to be like, okay, like we're gonna practice piano and guitar together, but first let's finish some work. And she's totally like, okay, motivated. I'm gonna go do it now because she wants to play guitar and piano with me. So it's been sick.
Has it been as difficult as you thought it'd be, or easier than you thought?
It was very difficult at first because you get the hours and you're like, okay, you have to teach the kids from 9 to 1. It's only 4 hours.
And this is all online.
This is all online, and normally these are 7-hour days when you're at school.
Yeah.
And so you're working 3 less hours, but I'm feeling 3 times more stressed and 3 times more tired when I'm done with work. And it's just because it's just the technical issues that you got to deal with. Like it's like when you lose Wi-Fi connection or something, it pisses you off, and you're just like, dude, like what the hell? Like I need to.
It's like when my mom wants me to help her upload a picture to Facebook. I'm like,
Dude,
Mom, we've literally done this 50 times.
Always does it. Yeah, it's
like,
exactly what that's
And she's like, what button do I press? I was like, okay, like just let's slow down for a bit. Like read the options. She's like, do I press here? I'm like, yeah. Like that's what it says. Just upload here. It says publish here. It says do this here. Like if you just read the
amount of
instructions.
times I've had to help my mom or dad with stuff like that, and they just come up to me. It's like I have all these brothers and sisters, and they come to me for help. I'm like, come on, like why does it have to be me?
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, so it's been tough, but now I've gotten the hang of things. It's been nice because at first I didn't really have a set schedule, and it was hard. Nobody had a set schedule. Nobody really knew what was going on, and now we're like 3 weeks into it, 4 weeks into it now, and I have a set schedule. I have a set math routine, spelling words, language arts, reading log. I have all this thing set up, and I've had a lot of teachers help me out to get this together and stuff. So it's been awesome. But yeah,
That's awesome, dude. What was I gonna say? Just imagine the teachers that aren't as tech savvy as you. You know what I'm saying? You're struggling and you're having stress now, but just imagine like the older teachers that don't know how to like work a computer.
I remember Mr. Anderson was telling us that he was concerned about that too going into it, because he's like, dude, like I need to take these like online boot camps for how to like work all these. Yeah,
that's very true, man.
So I'm definitely fortunate that I am tech savvy, so I've been able to figure out a lot of stuff, and YouTube has been super helpful, bro. Like literally for anything I need, how to play piano, how to learn how to use Google Docs, how to make a PDF, any of that stuff, like just YouTube it, and somebody's made a video on it, so it's been super sick. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been for me. What about you? What have you been up to?
Well, around the same time that you started your teaching, I started school. So I'm like on my last year of college, thank God, and I just started my fall semester, and it's just been a bunch of online classes. I only have one Zoom class, which is good. You know, like I would kind of hate to have to build my schedule midday, like around all my Zooms, you know, because I have like kind of like noonish classes. So it's really cool to kind of just be able to do work on your own time. You know, like I can just get it done and kind of like help her out around the house or do whatever I have to do after. But like my courses aren't as difficult as I thought they'd be. You know what I'm saying? So I was planning to kind of like have a bunch of like just kind of like overload on work and stuff, but thank God I don't have to. You know, it's really just one class that's really difficult. You know, like a lot of reading articles, a lot of like case studies, and just kind of like.
What class is it?
That is consumer behavior. That's another thing too that I wanted to mention. Like it's really cool that something I think I mentioned on the podcast. I don't know if I did, but just like be able to like take these classes and then be able to apply it to what we're doing. And you know what I'm saying? Like to read these case studies and to see like, and like I mentioned earlier, it's not like we're selling a product or a service, but like essentially like people are kind of like taking time out of their day to listen. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of are selling something in a way. Right. And to kind of see and read case studies and be able to apply what I'm learning to like what we're doing and kind of like how to enhance, let's say the audience's experience or the listener's experience, the little tweaks that we've made, the change in our content. Anything that we can to enhance it, like is going to enhance the experience and is going to kind of help us grow, you know?
Totally.
And it's really cool to kind of read everything and be able to apply it or kind of like think about yourself as well, like when you're reading that kind of stuff. Like that's kind of like the most exciting thing about everything that I'm kind of getting out of it, you know? But like to answer your question, just school, you know, like just homework, classes,
Mm-hmm.
nothing too hectic. Soccer team is just Zooms, you know, like we're not able to train.
How's that?
It's okay, you know, at the like right now it's just a bunch of compliance, a bunch of just NCAA work, getting your stuff out of the way, having to fill a bunch of paperwork, medical information, and right now we're just waiting on people to turn in all their stuff so we can start like a Zoom training to where it's like
Zoom training.
yeah,
Let's
it's gonna be like online strength and conditioning. I think it might be just like body work.
I've seen
something.
some videos or some pictures of stuff like that where there's like a bunch of people and they're all just like videotaping each other, but they're like in their like little home gym doing band
I
work.
don't know. We're most likely because not everyone has access to a home gym. You know,
Yeah.
like not everyone has that set up at home. So I'm assuming it's gonna be some body work stuff, maybe some circuit work or something. You know, like I don't know what it's gonna be, but we're just waiting on everyone to get their paperwork in to be able to start doing that. You know.
Yeah.
And then we just got the news yesterday that everything's gonna go online in the spring as well. So
Oh, really?
yeah, it's gonna suck, dude. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Jesus.
Yeah, I need to figure it out. And then yeah, like it was really cool because in this business department, like there's a lot of opportunities that are popping up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like something that we've talked about. There's like an internship that popped up, you know, like and it's really cool because this kind of whole project kind of like gave me the courage to be able to apply to it. You know, like whatever pops up, whatever opportunity pops up, like I'm more than happy to kind of just try to get it and get my foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like when am I gonna make that transition from like a regular worker and into like that field that I'm kind of like majoring and studying for?
Hell yeah.
You know, like when can I make that transition of like I'm just a freaking a minimum wage guy to like that? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I used to think it was when I got my diploma.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't got my diploma, so I can't apply for those jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
I
in
think
reality,
it's a very normal mentality, a very common mentality to have. It's like, well, I need to get this first and then I can apply.
yeah, absolutely, man. And it was like something that I'm kind of happy that it kind of like fell at my feet. It was a really good opportunity. You know, I don't want to get too much into the details, but I think that was cool. You know, and I just want to say thank you because you helped me with my essay application. That that helped me a lot. And
course,
just that, like I don't know, because if I'm being honest, if we weren't doing this, if I didn't really have,
That's what I was about to ask you. Do you think you would have
I don't
applied
think so,
if
man.
we hadn't been doing
I don't
this?
think so. I was thinking about that, and I don't know if I would have, to be honest. Like I don't know if I would have had the desire, the will to do it. You know, like.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember like when it came up, like there's this sort of like with this whole thing we're doing, there's this sort of like personal growth kind of aspect. You know, like you just want to get better and to be able to, I don't want to say flaunt it or like talk about it, but like to be able to kind of like look back, maybe more of self-reflection as opposed to everyone else seeing it, but like to be able to look back and be like, what steps did I take to kind of get better as a person this year? You know, like where did I grow? You know, like people do it in their career, people do it in their relationship, people do it in their personal health, but like overall, like what steps am I making in life to kind of get better? You know,
Totally.
and I wouldn't say this is something, but this is something that I can definitely use as a tool to kind of make those jumps, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And essentially that's what I did, you know, like in the application, talk about personal experiences, personal projects you got going on, and
Hell yeah.
and this and what I'm learning in class, you know, it all goes hand in hand, and it's so cool that it's like all one big ball as opposed to like different stages in my life or different kind of groups
Mm-hmm.
that I can kind of jump, like kind of bundle together, like this project that we're doing in school and then like my career all in one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's like really, it's like something that if I'm being 100% honest with you, I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I think I've learned to piggyback on that too. Like I've learned so much about time management by doing this, because you said our schedules don't align together a lot of the times. So it's like I'm trying to figure out times when we're gonna be able to record, and then when you can like give me over the hard drive so I can start uploading it to different sites. And then it's like we're trying to figure out all these times. And at the top of that, I'm teaching, and then I have a bunch of emails I have to go to. I have Zoom meetings. It's like there's so many different things. But like I've always been a procrastinator growing up. I've always just like left everything to the last minute, and this has taught me or showed me that I can't do that. If I leave everything to the last minute, we won't have the time to record the podcast. We won't have the time to be able to upload it. I won't have the time to look through all my emails and go to my meetings and all that stuff. So it's like I did this stuff, and it's like it's kind of kicked me in the ass, bro. But it's been good, because it's like, dude, like if I gotta look at this now, like I have to do it. Like I have to even set times on my phone. I'm like 5 o'clock, check your emails. I have to do it. I'm like, oh, and I get my.
And you
email.
get a lot of emails, huh? As a
Dude,
teacher,
I get like 40, 50 a day.
that's insane.
But that's like
dude.
another thing too, because I'm like part of county, and I'm part of the district, and I'm part of special ed. So I get 3 different like flows of emails
Yeah.
coming to me. So it's like it's been insane. But
Yeah, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this has been fun. Like, this is gonna be a short episode, like we talked about at the beginning. But
Yeah.
man, like, thank you to everyone that's been watching us. Thank you to everyone that's
Seriously.
been supporting us. You know, like, if you guys have any questions, like, make sure you reach out. If you guys want to see anything, you know, like maybe any advice or
Yeah.
any feedback, you know, we're more than happy
that's
to listen.
one thing also is like, yeah, I've always asked people when they DM me or message me or anything, like, yeah, give us any feedback at all.
Mhm.
And like all the feedback that I've received has been pretty positive and it's been pretty like
constructive.
constructive.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we definitely appreciate any feedback that you guys give us. Please do
Mhm.
anything at all if you think of, or any ideas. Like I had a few people come out and give me some ideas. You guys should talk about this. And like, it was crazy because I already had the idea of bringing up somebody to interview and they were going to be talking about that stuff. So it's cool that, you know, something that we had planned in the future, people are interested in. So we love hearing stuff
So
like
it's like
that.
we're almost going in the right direction.
In the right
you know what I'm
direction,
saying?
exactly. That's
And
the way
yeah,
it
and
felt.
it's been really cool. Like, okay, we won't end it yet, but like what we talked about the other day, like we kind of like had a like looking back on the people we've had on, like we have had a good variety of people on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like someone that's in criminology, like we had someone in military, we had somebody that works in banking, we had
Mhm.
someone, Megan, that works for Visa, we had somebody that works for Frito-Lay, we had someone that started a business, we've had a teacher, we've had a coach.
Mhm.
Like we've had a good mix. Like we can just continue to kind of expand and try to hit new avenues, you know,
Totally,
like
man.
and learn more. Again, like that's the thing. Like we just want to learn.
Absolutely.
You know, like this has been fun, and we're excited, man. We're really excited to see where this goes and kind of like continue to strive forward.
Yeah. All right, man. I think we'll just leave it
I
at
think
that.
we're good at that, man.
All right.
Everyone listening, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Make sure you guys
seriously.
follow and subscribe to the Coast Woods podcast. We're thankful and we're just very happy to have everyone's support, and we'll see you guys next time.
Later.